The full-size SUV segment is the most competitive segment in the entire car market, and Nissan knows that. That's why for 2025, they completely redesigned the Armada, and it's got a new engine, a completely luxurious overhaul, and much, much more. But can it compete with the likes of the Toyota Sequoia, the QX80 from Infiniti, or the LX from Lexus? Let's find out. Starting off in the front of the Armada, today we have the 4X Pro, which is the more off-road capable Armada, so you will notice some things that stick out that are unique to this trim specifically. Starting off in the front of the Armada, you'll notice she is a big, girthy girl. She's tall, she's wide, and she is thick. But I do like the redesign that they've done on the Armada. The grille looks much better. You've got a lot of ventilation that you can run through there, as well as at the bottom in the lip, there is more ventilation. However, up here, just like on the Frontier, you have several fake vents that serve no purpose. But I do like the Nissan logo here in the center that has that orange around it. You'll notice a lot of orange stylization all around it. And also, this is the Pro-4X trim, so it's an off-road capable trim. So you will notice there are some differences versus some other trims, such as at the bottom here, we do have a couple orange tow hooks as well. Now, another thing that you'll notice, despite how large this Armada is, you do only have a single LED for your headlamp, and you've got a fog lamp down below, and these massive daytime running lights that are like in a sideways U shape. But overall, I would say that the front end looks quite good, but it is very, very long, and you definitely feel that while you're in the inside of it. But what else you feel is a little bit of road, because notice we've got these big, girthy all-terrain tires that are sitting on 20-inch wheels, but Nissan did a great job on these wheels from the factory, because those look like aftermarket wheels if I've ever seen them. I think they look great, but I don't think that this massive black fender flare looks very good. It's just a little too much for me. It's quite big. But moving back further, we do have a couple more fake vents here, but it does add a little bit of a nice style to it. I'm not gonna lie, I like them a little bit. We do have running boards to help it look a little bit more like a minivan, and piano black side view mirrors with lane departure warning, 360 cameras, blind spot monitoring, everything that you could possibly want. On the door handles themselves, you do have a button to lock and unlock the doors. And then going back further, you also have the push pop to open gas cap, and guess what? It takes premium. So you're gonna feel that. It's an $80,000 car, so don't be too surprised, but it's also gonna cost $5 a gallon when you go to the pump. On the side, we do have an Armada badge. I think it looks pretty good. It gives a little bit of a character. I actually like the orange that's speckled all the way around. I also like these ginormous taillights that are on the back here, and you have the light bar that runs all the way through the center and is only broken up by the Nissan logo in the back. You'll notice though, we don't have any tailpipes that you can see over here. However, you do have a single black tailpipe that's hidden on the right-hand side over there, and actually, it is coated as well, so it's a little bit rust proof. Before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Bill Kay Nissan in the Chicago suburbs for letting us come by and check out the 2025 Nissan Armada 4X Pro. If you're in the Chicago suburbs and in the market for a new Armada or a Nissan, come on over to Bill Kay Nissan and they'll take care of whatever you need. Some other features that you have back here, if I had the key on me, you do have the kick to open the rear hatch. Some people like it. I think they're actually quite annoying. But what is not annoying is how many suitcases you can fit in this or other things, because the interior of this is just massive. So you've got electronic operations to raise and lower both rows of seats here, and you just get a good flat surface that's on a little bit of an incline. It's definitely not level, but underneath here you also have some more storage, and then if you pull this up, you actually have your roadside assistance stuff and a very, very big jack. Now, what is nice is that when you are done unloading all your stuff from the back here, it is just one touch operation to get those seats back up. They go a little bit slow though, so you will be waiting. And once it comes all the way up, you'll see that you don't have a whole lot of space back here with the seats up. I mean, think about your Escalade, your Tahoes and things like that that are 3 rows, and you don't have a lot of space in those either. But with it down, you definitely have a ton of space. Nice to have one touch operation on those seats though. It is nice though that you can raise the 3rd row seats with the buttons, but what is mind-boggling is that you actually cannot raise the 2nd row from the rear here. You have to go all the way to them and then you can raise them. Don't know why, but it's a really stupid design. On the left-hand side here though, you do have a 120 volt outlet, so that's pretty cool. And then you've also got a little storage cubby because you might need to put some more stuff there. Well, we do have one more thing we gotta check out before we can leave back here, and that is how safe is Nissan? Because I think they failed in the past. And since I don't have a banana, I'm gonna use a human appendage. Not too bad. Not bad at all, actually. They've definitely been much, much worse in the past, so I can accept that. That's okay. Well, that does wrap up the exterior of the Armada, so let's head on to the inside so you can see what's happening in there, because it is quite luxurious. On the interior, you'll notice a lot of black, but you get a little bit of contrast with the orange stitching that you can see here on the door, but it is all nice soft touch leather, so it's all nice and padded and feels good. It is a little bit loose though. I mean, it is a Nissan, right? So what do you expect? On the door panel, we have very standard controls. So up here, we've got our 2 memory functions for our seat, and then our lock and unlock button, our side view mirror controls. You can also fold them in if you like, and then one touch operation for all 4 windows, just like it's meant to be. And then down here on the door sill, we do have an Armada plate that looks pretty good. And then we have 12-way power adjustable seats on the seats here. And also these seats look amazing. You have a little bit of a quilted leather action going on with more of that orange contrast, and the Pro-4X on the headrest as well. So overall, they look very nice and extremely comfortable, which I'm about to figure out. Definitely a comfortable seat, grips your hips very well, and the side bolsters here also hug your body real nice. We'll have to see how it does on the road, but first impressions, this is a comfortable seat for sure. Also, the steering wheel is beautiful. I love the steering wheel. It's a very nice soft leather, and you've got more of that orange contrast stitching on there. Overall, looks great. Nothing really to complain about. It's got a good shape to it as well, good thickness, and all the controls you can need. On the left-hand side, we have our driver's assistance functions, and on the right-hand side, we have more of our multimedia controls and voice assistants and things like that. You also have a couple paddle shifters in case you feel like racing your SUV, so that's always fun, and electronic control for your steering wheel oscillation. That's nice too. Very typical stalks. On the left, we've got our lights, and on the right, we have our front and rear windshield wipers. So you'll know where everything is. To the left of the steering wheel, we only have about 4 buttons. We have a lane keep assist, open up the rear hatch, auto hold, and electronic parking brake. And you even have room for some more if you choose to, I don't know, add a light bar or something like that. You never know. Why not? Now, to the right of the steering wheel, we do have some more controls, such as our trailer brake controller. Very nice to have that built in. And then our push to start stop button. Now, above the steering wheel, though, is where things start getting interesting, because on most trims of the Armada, you actually have a 12.3-inch display. However, on this one, you have 2 14.2-inch displays, and they're connected for your digital gauge cluster and your infotainment center, and completely customizable and touchscreen. Now, the infotainment center itself doesn't have a lot of different options that you can do, but there are some cool things. First off, it does have wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, of course. Also, you do have options to have Google Apps dedicated and built into the infotainment center, so you don't have to use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. But also, this is equipped with an interior camera and a dash cam, so you can click into there and you can see your front and rear cameras, or we can go to the inside camera and see Uncle Steve in the back recording me. Terrifying. Now, underneath the infotainment center, we do have a ton more buttons, whether it's for your multimedia, your heating and air, or your 4x4 selection. So up here, we do have a power button with the volume knob, our camera system, our hazard lights, and our forward and backward track seats. Below there is where we have our heating and air controls, as well as the controls for your front 2 seats, heating and ventilation. So both the front passengers have heated seats and ventilated seats. You also have your heated steering wheel control, and that's about it. Dual zone climate, etc. Below there, though, is where we start getting into the controls for the vehicle itself. So here we have our drive mode selector, which you have normal, then you've got eco, sport, tow, rock, mud, sand, snow, and that is about it. And then you've got your downhill acceleration control, your auto 4 high, and then you've got your 4 high, 4 low, your rear differential disconnector, and your traction control. Now, you don't have a standard drive mode selector in the Armada. Nissan has moved over to just the buttons. So here you've got your park, reverse, neutral, and drive. The Armada is also equipped with airbag suspension. So over here, the auto is your different height selection, and then you've got that auto off button because it's the most annoying thing in the world. In here, you actually have a little bit of a nice wooden cover or so that you can pull back, and you've got two nice sized cup holders as well as a wireless phone charger and two Type-C USB ports. And then here you've got a very nice but small center console, nice little velveted pop out tray, and then the whole interior of it is also velveted, so you're not going to hear a bunch of stuff crashing around in there or anything. However, you're also not going to fit a lot of things in there. At least there is a light. No power, nothing like that though. Now, up above the infotainment center though, we've got a digital rear view mirror with 3 home link buttons and auto dimming. So that's always nice, especially when you have a bunch of people in the car. Up above there though, we've got a spot to store our shades, a couple dome light controls, and then the controls for our ginormous panoramic sunroof. Now, last but not least, the only other thing remaining in the front is that underneath the center console here, you actually have another storage area with a 12-volt outlet in your cigarette lighter style. So there's just a ton of features and a ton of storage up here for you to figure out. Well, that does wrap up everything there is to go over in the front of the Armada, but there's even more in the back. So let's kick out Uncle Steve and head back there and see what we got. Coming into the rear of the Armada, it's a lot of the same, which is a good thing because the front is styled beautifully and the back is too. The door looks very similar to the one that we have in front, nice soft touch leather, and then you also have that orange stitching running through. There is one thing that this luxury SUV is missing back here that I've already noticed though, and that has to be the sunshade that is typically pulled down right here. I hear that those of you with kids absolutely love those, so I think Nissan missed a huge point there, but it's not the end of the world. The seats though, fantastic. I love that they didn't cheap out on the second row seats here, and they look just as comfortable as they are in the front, but let's find out. You got a nice grab handle to help you get in here, and a ton of room back here too, which is amazing. So this is actually currently in Uncle Steve's driving position, and you know, he's about 9'4", so he's a pretty big guy. And I've got a ton of room back here, almost like 1.5 feet. And both the front seats do also have a pouch on them, but man, they are small. You're not fitting a whole lot in there, but I love all the room at least. What else is nice is that you do have tri-zone climate control in here, meaning that the driver gets their own climate, the passenger gets their own climate, and the kids in the back also get their own too. That all can be controlled from right here. So right here, you've got heated seats on the second row, as well as your own climate control, 2 Type-C USB ports, another 12-volt outlet. And you know what else is crazy? These seats also slide forward and backwards. Maybe you need more room because Uncle Steve is in the third row. Well, you can do that. And I still have a good amount of space here. Not plenty, but I've got a good amount of space. What's nice though is that the second row is built for comfort because you also have this massive armrest that comes down with 2 very good sized cup holders in it. And not only that, when I'm done to eat my food and having my drink, I can kick back and take a nap. Well, that does wrap up everything for the second row, but like we said, there is a whole nother row. So let's make it a little bit easier on ourselves. Move this seat up a little bit so that when we pop back there, it's not so bad. Well, once you're back here, all you have to do is pull the seat back very carefully because otherwise it will bash your knees because you don't have a lot of room back here. So my knees are touching these seats currently. I can't move these seats back any further, but I am cramped back here. Other than that, this is actually pretty comfortable, I'm not gonna lie. But you do have 2 good sized cup holders on both sides and power for everybody. So each side also has a Type-C USB port, and hey, it may be really cramped back here, but at least you can recline your seat a little bit. And now actually that did help my knees. They're no longer touching. It's definitely not built for Uncle Steve back here. It's not even built for me, but I would definitely, without a doubt, shove some children back here. Let's get it on the road. All right, now we're behind the wheel of the 2025 Nissan Armada Pro-4X. And it is a comfy ride to say the least, at least first impressions. The visibility does leave a little bit to be desired though, because you have some massive A-pillars on this thing. They are just some chonky boys, but other than that, it's not too bad. It's very, very comfortable. And your side view mirrors are massive, so that helps a ton with the visibility. I don't have to worry too much about Uncle Steve's big head or anything like that, because I can use the big ass side view mirrors. But It does have actually much more acceleration than you would expect with this, how big it is, how heavy it is, and the fact that it no longer has the V8. But it does have quite a bit of acceleration under the hood. The braking, a little bit squishy, but not bad. Nothing to complain about anyways. Now, as far as safety goes, Nissan's equipping all their vehicles with standard safety features, so it just does have just about everything that you would expect. We've already talked about the 360 cameras. It's got pedestrian monitoring, blind spot monitoring, and just about everything else that you could possibly want. Overall, it's a pretty nice ride. Now, is it worth the money though? I guess that'll have to be up to you.
Actually, for the passenger side, it's really comfortable too.
Yeah, good passenger princess?
Yeah, especially have a lot of room between me and you. That's what I like. I don't want to get too close.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, the center console is so wide.
It is very wide.
Yeah.
Earlier, we were talking about Nissan cars that don't have powered windows and what you would have to do if you were in a right-hand drive. I can't even reach all the way over. It'd be impossible.
Yeah. That sucks.
It does suck. But no, overall, I think this is a very pleasant ride. I don't have any complaints other than the visibility kind of does leave a little bit to be desired. Very comfortable. It's nice that you got heated and ventilated seats, especially today it's like 90 and they're putting in work. They are pretty noisy though, just the same as the engine. Even at idle, even though this is only a V6, it still is very loud at idle. But other than that, the road noise and wind noise and stuff, not a whole lot of it. They did a very good job at soundproofing the vehicle. You really only hear engine noise. It's a pretty loud engine.
It is, but there's a lot of room in the engine bay. It's pretty easy to work on, I think.
Yeah?
Doing regular maintenance.
Well, hopefully you won't have to do a whole lot of that. You'll have to tell us what kind of maintenance it'll require, because when you tell us about the powertrain in about 30 seconds, we're going to have to know.
Cool.
So let's let Uncle Steve get in the driver's seat so he can tell us what he thinks of this ride and all the important stuff about the powertrain and more.
All right, it's Uncle Steve, first time taking my girlfriend out, Amanda. The first impression is aggressive, you know, especially for this trim Pro-4X. I really like it. I like how they black out stuff like all around.
It's got a good style to it.
Yeah.
Amanda's got it going on.
The big hip.
Yeah, big hips.
Big tires.
Big tires, big, thick, girthy.
And it's very comfortable. If you cover the logo, you don't feel like this is a Nissan.
You really don't.
Because Nissan, I own a Nissan. Like I own a cheap ass Nissan. The cheapest you can get, the Nissan Versa 5-speed. And everything is plastic. And I have checked out the new Nissan. The qualities, they're all not as good as I expected. But this one actually is pretty nice, pretty comfortable. I like the orange accents.
They definitely took a lot of inspiration from the QX80.
Yeah, so we did a review of QX80, right?
Yeah, like 6 months ago.
Yeah, so this is basically the same car, different trim, right?
Yeah, basically.
One is like super luxurious. And this one is pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. I'd still say it's luxurious. It's just not QX80 luxurious.
Yeah. But there's a heavy price tag.
We'll get there.
Well, let's talk about the powertrain. Don't waste time, right? So they replaced the 5.6 liter V8 with this baby GTR engine. It's the same series. They call it, for the GTR, it's a VR38. This is VR35. So basically it's a 3.5 liter V6 twin turbo. It has 425 horsepower and 516 foot-pound of torque. That is a lot for the class.
Isn't that also more than it had with the V8?
No, it's less.
Oh,
it only has 400 horsepower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And 0 to 60 and average is 6.2 seconds. This is close to the competitor or faster the competitors like the LX, the Lexus LX 600, the Tahoe. However, the tri-trans, they only offer full-time or four-wheel drive for the Pro-4X with the rear differential lock. They don't have the front one, they have a rear one.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's okay, right?
Yeah.
It do the job.
Yeah.
So if you want the rear differential lock, you have to get the Pro-4X trim. For the other trim is two-wheel drive. It's 4x2 with intelligent four-wheel drive. So whenever they feel slippery road, they just turn into four-wheel drive.
Better than none.
Better than nothing, yeah. So, most of the Nissan, like truck or big car, they don't use CVT anymore. This has a 9-speed automatic transmission. The last generation with the V8, they have a 7-speed automatic transmission. So it's a good thing, especially you're towing, especially you're racing on the car. Doing off-road, it's good that not using CVT.
Definitely.
However, the fun fact, I just talked to somebody that owned a 2007 Nissan Armada. It has a CVT. He told me it has a 300,000 mile on it. And what he said is the CVT on his car is not using belt. The newer one, they use the belt. I don't know how true is it. If you guys know anything about 2007 Nissan Armada with CVT, let us know. Is that true or not? Because I never heard that Nissan can go over 300,000 miles. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And my first time here, that crap.
But they got a bulletproof Nissan, huh?
Yeah. Well, so pretty much that's it for the drivetrain. For the mile per gallon, it's 18 miles per gallon. We all know that's not true. Probably 15. But hey, it's still good. However, you already mentioned it used premium gas.
Yeah. Well, it's recommended. So that's different than my car says you better use premium gas.
Yeah, say they put a sticker too. If you go off-roading, towing, racing.
Yeah. So if you use 87 or something like that octane, you're probably going to get even worse gas mileage too.
And take it easy. So pretty much that's it for the powertrain and drivetrain. In my opinion, it's really good compared to the competitors. It's not slow for a big car like this. 0 to 60 like 6.2, right? So it's actually pretty fast.
I like that it's not a hybrid or something too.
Yeah, like the new LX, right?
Or the
it's
Sequoia
a hybrid.
even.
Yeah. But the most important thing is how much does it cost?
Well, it is a pricey Nissan.
Is it more affordable than the Sequoia? Well, for sure it's more affordable than the QX and LX.
Yeah, it is more affordable than the Sequoia too, because if you want the TRD Pro Sequoia, which this we're lining up against, it's definitely more. But the SL, which is actually the entry level for the Armada, it's not too bad. It starts out at $59,710, and then you got the SL at $65,160. Then you got a platinum trim at $72,000. What we're in today is the Pro-4X, like we mentioned, and that is actually $75,000. But there is a higher trim, which is the Platinum Reserve. So it's even more luxurious. You have quilted leather seats and all sorts of stuff, but that one comes in at $79,000. So
it's still better than the QX.
It's definitely cheaper than the QX.
The QX is more than 100 grand, right?
Yeah, and I would say it is quite comparable to the QX.
Okay, for the top trim for this car.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you're losing out on some bells and whistles, a little bit of less premium quality, but still very comparable to the QX.
Well, save you like 40 grand.
Right, and it'll save you like 40 grand. So that's not bad. And it also tows more than the QX.
How much can you tow?
You can tow 8,500 pounds with this. So.
But we just reviewed the Frontier not long ago, right?
Yeah.
And that can tow what? How much is Sam?
7,500. But
that's crazy for a little truck like that compared to this.